to all of you. I am Charlene, and on behalf of my firm, the Learning Institute, I'm here today to eagerly propose you a set of effective measures to address the concerns NUS administration has been having regards to social media communication on Facebook between NUS faculty and its students. Before I begin my presentation proper, allow me to share with you one staggering fact about Facebook. Just at this moment, there are actually more than 250 million users accessing Facebook. Such phenomenon evidently shows the growing prevalence of Facebook in everyday's life and especially that of a student. Moving on, the following slide will be an overview of what I'm going to cover today. Under problem and findings, I will touch on the main reasons why NUS administration is apprehensive about faculty befriending students due to the faculty and student interactions. Next, under recommendations, our suggested approach will be evaluated in detail. Finally, I will start my entire presentation in the conclusion section. So please sit up and listen attentively to what I have for you. I'm certain it will be valuable. So from the analysis of our findings, my firm has concluded that faculty-student interactions on Facebook result in benefits. However, it also leads to concerns, which necessitate NUS administration to implement plausible measures to reduce such implications. With reference to the diagram shown, the majority of students, totaling to 86%, have inclinations towards befriending faculty on Facebook, as might find it beneficial in aiding their studies. The main benefits and concerns are summarized in the table as shown. My firm has found that many students agree that closer personal relationship between faculty and students will result in improved efficiency of communication in class. Also, Facebook is widely deemed a convenient and accessible way of effective communication between faculty and students. However, the findings has also shown that there are two prime concerns, namely intimate faculty-student relations, which might lead to sexual misconduct. Also, there may be intrusion of personal privacy due to sharing of personal information on Facebook. Thus, it is vital that NUS administration adopt our EMA approach, which stands for Educate, Monitor, and Alternative, to tackle this issue. Educate. This will be a short-term recommendation as a one-off compulsory workshop to be conducted for faculty and students on cybersecurity and privacy issues. The effectiveness. Increased awareness of the potential risks of social media communication on Facebook will deter faculty and students from getting involved. Also, they will adopt the other proposed approaches with a more open and positive mindset. Feasibility. It's easy to implement as professional speakers could be easily engaged to conduct this workshop as cybersecurity is a pertinent issue in Singapore. Moreover, only a short time period is required as a message can be conveyed to a large group of audience at a time, rendering it efficient as well. Next, we have monitor. It's a long-term recommendation as there is a need to constantly watch for probable risk of intimate faculty-student relationships from forming. So my firm recommends that faculty register a separate Facebook account meant only for educational purposes under NUS administration to facilitate the monitoring. Effectiveness. It creates a sense of being watched as private conversations could be tracked down easily. Thus, it minimizes intimate faculty-student interactions, which will minimize the concerns as elaborated previously. Feasibility is convenient and easy to manage as all the Facebook accounts are under one main account. Thus, NUS administration could monitor them with ease. Lastly, alternative. Considering the concerns the NUS administration has regarding Facebook, a long-term online classroom could be a good alternative to aid discussion outside of classroom. effectiveness. It discourages the use of Facebook as it is made redundant, thus minimizing the distractions Facebook causes. Usability. It is easy to implement as it is hassle-free to create and even improve. So now before I end on my presentation with a Q&A session, let's recap on what I have shared minutes earlier. First, faculty-student interactions indeed bring about several benefits, including being readily accessible. However, it also leads to concerns such as intimate student relationships with faculty. Thus, it is vital that NUS administration adopt our EMA approach, which stands again for educate, monitor, and alternative, to minimize the concerns and Facebook brings, yet reap the benefits of social communication network. Now I'm coming to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Shirley and I'm a representative from Euphoria. NUS has asked me to present my findings, analysis, and recommendations regarding whether students and teachers should befriend each other on Facebook. First, a little history about us. So, Euphoria was set up by a group of undergraduate NUS students. Since then, 10 years have passed. But what has remained the same since our time is the close relationship between the great professors and us students. But now, with the advent of technology, how different will relationships be? For example, here is a PPQ where the students and teachers should befriend each other on Facebook, the purposes, like the pros and cons of the relationship and the challenges facing them. And lastly, the recommendations and guidelines Euphoria will provide. So first, I will be talking about the benefits of learning. My main topic will be covering the intangible and valuable benefits of having teachers befriend students. I recommend that teachers should befriend the whole class and often post interesting videos on Facebook and let Facebook help to facilitate an online discussion. I think that this would be better than creating a Facebook page because the interaction will be one-to-one and people will feel that it is more personalized. Also, students will naturally make use of that Facebook feature to ask the teachers whenever they have questions. And then thirdly, it will break down the barrier between teachers and students because I think even in Facebook pages, there's this sense of disconnectedness. So I know NUS is trying to have USB programs that will move learning beyond the classroom, but this can be on a greater scale. Yeah. So you can see here what other institutions have done. Yeah. An example of Facebook. Yeah. So my recommendations to maximize the benefits and minimize risks is teachers should post that Facebook more often so that students will not feel it is redundant like it has been surveyed. And also NUS could have fun competitions that to nominate teachers and students who contribute the most on Facebook and award them with the NUS Student or Teacher Award on Facebook. And also students, they should overcome their shyness and also make the contribution two-way. So why should you listen to us? Because if I remember correctly, NUS vision is still to aspire to be a bold and dynamic community with a no-walls culture and a spirit of enterprise which strives for a positive and influence and impact. So what better way than use Facebook? So wouldn't you like to give it a try, faculty members? Okay, then secondly, the benefits to personal growth. Okay, I think that personal growth will not just stop at the university level. Although many students and teachers might not have that close relationship because their lessons are only for a few months, but Facebook can be a platform for them to communicate with each other. Okay. Also, Singapore education system has been heavily criticized for not having enough emphasis on creativity and critical thinking, but rather on memorization. And last time the excuse is that they have to prepare students for national exams, but in university there is no such thing. So students are finally free to explore on the other interests. So for example, there can be a mathematics professor who is interested in stocks. He posts such things on Facebook, and alternatively students will be encouraged to search on other academic fields. So this will broaden their learning, because teachers do not just go through the textbook on what they are teaching, but rather they should inspire students to wonder, question, and think. And lastly, Facebook is very similar to a peer relationship socially. So it will elevate a student's sense of equality with a teacher. And this connection will create trust. Why is trust important? Because like what students learn in class generally have nothing to do with their real life. But by connecting with and trusting teachers, students will be more inclined to internalize what their teachers are teaching, and this will shift their motivation to studies from extrinsic to intrinsic. So you can see from this diagram, students were very happy when they were able to use Facebook for the ES2002 module. But notice how they value interaction and interest, which are intangible, over usefulness, which is a technical benefit. Okay, this is another example of a teacher. And my recommendations is that the teachers should encourage students to explore more on Facebook, like those student interest groups should often make themselves known to the student body at large. And also teachers could talk about such interests in class, because like they will have a few minutes of break every time during lesson, and they can ask students for their opinion. And also students, they can introduce their teachers to what is in right now through Facebook, because the teachers can draw learning points from even the most trivial stuff, but students does not know how to use critical thinking to evaluate stuff. So yeah, this is an example of what the professor wrote about Kanam style. Okay, and lastly, the benefit to cyber awareness. I feel that students will be on their best behavior if they know that a teacher is their friend, because Facebook allows teachers to stay interested and in tune with what the students are up to. And students will also realize that Facebook is not separated from real life. What they post on Facebook does not stay in Facebook. And lastly, students will witness the real life consequences of what happens when they share the wrong things online. As you can see, here are some recent examples of people who were not using Facebook last time during school, so nobody taught them that they could not post such things. And this is another example of the NUS scholar, Zheng Ju. So my recommendation is that NUS should invite MICA officers to give talks about cyber awareness, and we could also invite us, from Euphoria, to give more presentations that are more formal. And faculty members, they should learn how to effectively engage students about how to move away from traditional platforms. And students will be more prepared for the work life, because I believe in future, the employers, they will want to be friendly on Facebook because they can check out on you. So what better way than to start now? Okay, so why follow the Euphoria way? I'm sure all of you know that the founder of Facebook is from Harvard. And so what does the alma mater did to encourage him? Why they all embraced it, of course. You can see that everybody uses it. So I think that Singapore students could follow Harvard and actually encourage students to interact more with their teachers. Okay, of course, on one hand, Facebook is not perfect. There are a lot of problems, such as maybe it's a social platform, so the students might not treat their teachers with enough respect. Also, there's different race and age between teachers, so they will not be able to agree on what is appropriate behavior on Facebook. However, on the other hand, NUS, there's a way for it to effectively use it. First, it should not actively reinforce, but rather leave it to the discretion of the users. Okay, so I believe that we can really prove to you that our methods work, as it has shown at other information. So in conclusion, we want to urge NUS to embrace students and teachers' relationship. And since NUS is the top university in Asia and has teachers from all over the world, so why not embrace technology today, starting with Facebook, the website that has revolutionized the world? Okay, there might be some kinks, but I'm sure that Euphoria can work together with NUS to iron them out. Okay, thank you.